I'm Anya, and today I'll be going through my old, unfinished sketchbooks. Now, I have gone through quite a few sketchbooks in my time, but unfortunately, because I'm a huge procrastinator and I'm a perfectionist, although I'm slowly coming out of that, I haven't finished most of them. In fact, the 4 sketchbooks I have finished in my lifetime have already been uploaded to YouTube, and you are welcome to view them. So these sketchbooks are mostly only a handful of pages, and I will be going through them in reverse chronological order. So here we have my most recent one, which was from the later end of 2017. So I was around 16 when I was making this art. So this first page was from an own clothes day at school, because normally we wear uniform, and I decided to draw a couple outfits of the girls in my house. Then I used to go to regular life drawing classes, and we had the same model each week, and I was drawing her quite a lot. And she appears quite often in my Calarts portfolio. Then there's some really nasty, chunky looking pages that I do not like and wish I never drew, but hey, we all have pieces of art like that. This piece I actually included in my Calarts portfolio. And then here is Tom Blue Jay, one of my regular characters that appears all over the place. And then this page is based on a story, or not even a story, kind of a miniature world that I created when I was about 7 or 8. So there's a tree outside in my garden that in the wind creaks a lot, and it sounds like somebody climbing the stairs. And in my head I imagined these goblin creatures to be living inside this fortress of a tree, and they would be spying on us, and then sometimes they would shoot acorns down from the leaves. And yeah, I lived that story quite a lot. I would go out to the tree and talk to it pretending there were goblins inside. This was not nice back at the time. I never finished it, and it's because the colour scheme is completely off. The room is far nicer looking than this, but you can see I left a blank space and I never redid it. Then typical hand sketches. You can probably tell it's a theme within my sketchbooks to sketch hands in pen and then colour them along the page in colour order. Then here's a sketch page of just random figures, and with pages that are at risk of smudging, I include pieces of paper like this, as explained up here, and I just include random doodles on the page. Wonderful. Then here is another piece I included in my Calarts portfolio, and it was because most of the proportions are pretty accurate, and I was really happy with the design of this, and it looks pretty clean. Then people sketches from Birmingham, an unfinished drawing of Birmingham, more people sketches. So I never really liked this page, but my parents love it for some reason, and I think it's because they thought it was very creative of me using tickets. I don't know. My bun, grey. Some chunky looking people. What is up with those nostrils, jeez. And then my school went on a school trip to Bristol, and I was forced to draw in my sketchbook. I was really sad. I didn't want to have schoolwork in here, but it's not the end of the world. We went to this really nice gallery, and I chose to do a panorama of the space whilst all my peers were sitting around also drawing. And there's not much on the back side except for a stack of crates. Then we went to M Shed, I think it's like some culture museum, I can't remember, and we sat in a bus. And then I tried to be creative here by doing one of those, like, you know, when you could scratch away and then the colour would come up from underneath. I don't know. And then more doodle pages. Boats. People. And I always add notes to my work because I think it just adds a little bit of flair. It also reminds me in the future, on days like this, when I look back of what I was thinking at the time and maybe details that I couldn't capture in the sketches themselves. And then this page, I actually really like it still, and I tried to base one of my Calarts sketchbook pages off of this, although I think this one turned out better, to be honest. Never mind. Some squirrels from outside. yeah, I don't know what was happening with the composition of this page. Let's ignore that. These life drawings I really enjoyed because actually I took photos of myself on a timer and then I just manipulated them to look not like me. And then it was around, yeah, it was Christmas time and I was drawing my brother playing with my sister some video games that we all got for Christmas. That was cute. I tried to be creative here, and like with the ticket page earlier, I used the lid off a Nutella pot, and then I created this princess character called Princess Ferrera Rocher. How fancy, with her spoon and her N for Nutella crown. Then this is just an explanation of an instant photo, whatever that's called, that went wrong. So we took a picture, great, and then someone left it in their pocket and we found it in the wash and all the layers had separated. We have no idea where yellow went, but yeah. And then these are some sketches of deer heads that we have in my house. That sounds kind of strange, but they have been part of the house long before we moved in. They're approximately 120 years old. Then I added some living deer, although these are from photos because the deer around here don't stick around long enough for me to sketch them. And here is quite an important page to me because it's where I first came up with the idea of drawing bones, a skeleton, and then covering it with like an overlay. It's kind of like an anatomy books and things, but artified. Not sure what happened here. Then here is a storyboard that I made for a Gorillaz music video that I wanted to make, I never did, for The Apprentice from the second most recent album. And the story is based off of the lyrics, where there's 3 characters that go through a failure and then they all respond in different ways. The first character just accepts his failure and gives up straight away. Second character fights but ultimately gets kicked out, and then the final character ends up fighting and they win. They defeat the big bad guy. And this, I don't remember what I was doing with this, but I wanted to layer it up with liquid latex as a masking fluid, and then I was going to take it all off, but as I was slowly removing it I realised that it looks pretty cool and yeah, has some funky texture. Then on the other side I made a cleaner sketch of the bleed and turned it into some devil creature called Angela apparently. That's some nasty looking feet. And then yet another unfinished sketch. This is of me and a few of my friends at this girl's birthday party. I wore some red vinyl trousers, which are still my favourite pair of trousers to this day. These are sketches from when I went on my German exchange, I think. And then that's it for the front half of the book. Then in the back half, oh yeah, the Gorillaz sticker that I made a while ago. In the back half I have Inktober, which I never finished, which again is just a general theme with everything, but there are a few finished illustrations in here. I quite like this page. I'm impressed with these, I must say, because I don't tend to create monsters and mechanical looking things, so yeah. Yeah, more unfinished pages. I liked the dynamic between these characters. And then I really like this guy. The only problem is that some people have pointed out that it looks like a swastika, and I do not want that. Oh god, this is the most horrid thing I've ever done. I remember drawing this and hating with all my heart. Yeah, not good. More unfinished pages. Then, I don't know, the edgelord in me came out with this one. I think I must have watched horror movies or something at that point. No idea. And then this lady, she's one of my favourite illustrations I've done still to this day, and she has, if you can see, a bunch of spiders as her shawl, hence the teeny theme. More unfinished pages. I turned her into a digital sketch, but she wasn't too successful on Instagram because it was not a great design. More unfinished sketches. Yeah, I liked this idea, yet again though, I didn't finish it. Here I was trying to be clever by combining 2 of the days, so I made a juicy blind date, but this guy is being kind of naughty because his gal is over here, and then, you know, she caught him. I have no idea what I was aiming for with that. Then this is meant to be some giant tree on the edge of a cliff. I didn't draw the cliff though, and then somebody falling off the cliff. Great. And then that is it for this sketchbook. This sketchbook is from around April of 2017, so it's also kind of recent, I don't know, but I ended up losing it for about 8 months, and that's why I didn't finish this book. This is from an athletics meet. Then I tried to draw a fountain with funky colours. I didn't like it at the time, but actually it's starting to grow on me. Sheep and peacocks. Again, common themes in my work. More sheep. I tried to keep them realistic, but then when I messed up, I would just cartoonify them and pretend it was intentional. Like, I think I accidentally spilt something and just made it big nostrils. Oh, and we got some ducks as well. Then these are more drawings from this craft place that is local to me. They had a folk music night and it was really cute, and there were lots of people that I could draw. Lots of people. And some dogs, except they don't really look like dogs. I do definitely struggle with drawing quadrupeds, but I'm slowly getting there. Then this is from my Silver DOV expedition. We didn't have many opportunities to draw because it was raining for 2 of the nights, but I still managed to get some of it in. Then after that was when I lost my sketchbook, and then I found it in a bag, about 8 months later. And then at the very start of this year, I went on a brief trip to France to do some skiing, and I did like 3 drawings ever in this. On the flight. So this is after I'd finished my Calarts sketchbook, and I was so worn out that I just didn't care about how messy my work was. And it was okay. I didn't have many colours to use, so it looks a bit crusty. And again, that's it. I do hope to get back to this sketchbook though. And then I often have random pieces of paper in my sketchbooks where I do like actual careless sketches. I think a lot of people expect my sketchbooks to look like this, which they kind of do, but I tend to think more about the composition of my pages beforehand. Yeah, I only had a pencil because this was during a meeting and I probably should have listened more, but hey ho. This sketchbook is quite important to me because it was focused on life drawing, and I started it after binge watching a bunch of Calarts sketchbooks, and I realised that I need to improve at life drawing. Not any regular life drawing, but gesture drawing, you know, those quick 30-second to a minute poses. And I asked, I think, a Calarts alum if they had any good websites to use for references, and they recommended Quick Pose. I'll link that down below. So what I would do is I would do a bunch of drawings, like 45 seconds sometimes, I don't know. I was 14 when I discovered this, and I would just churn out about 2 pages to 3 pages a day. And then eventually I had to take a break. I think I was busy with school. And one thing you can see is that I definitely lacked confidence in my lines. I would go over the same place quite a lot, or I would leave gaps rather than overextend my lines, which is what I do now, which implies confidence. Honestly, you can't even tell what's happening in most of these pages, but that's because it's not for me to show to people, it was for me to just, you know, have so much content that it makes me improve. I definitely focused on hands and feet as well. They had some good resources for that. I really am proud of this sketchbook, even though the sketches are not great, because it showed the very first time that I was really determined to improve to get to Calarts. So this is when I decided I want to go to this school, this is the skill level I was at. So I can promise you that anybody out there who wants to go to Calarts that is not at the level they'd like to be, it's okay, it's never too late. You can get so much better in just a year. Then I think here I discovered Croaky Cafe, which is a fantastic YouTube page, and they also do life drawing references. Yeah, this is 2016 now, so I am 15, and I started to become more confident, so I was using pen and colour, and that's it in this sketchbook, lol. Now, this sketchbook is one I was closer to finishing than most, and it goes through quite a lot of random phases. So it started out as a school sketchbook when we went to the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, and that's a drawing of the courtyard. I think it did look more crisp before, but as you can see, it's smudged a whole bunch since then. Shoes, I guess. And then I drew a bust that is pretty cross-eyed looking. Yeah, I remember hating this at the time, so this doesn't demonstrate my skill of then very accurately. But I was trying to be more experimental with my line work. Then this I spent way too long on for my own good, but I'm quite happy with it even today. I probably just ripped off some random photo from Instagram and then copied it. And then at this point I started to warm up. I was no longer too timid to use anything other than a 2B pencil. And so I tried watercolour, and I think it was because I wanted to post more on my Instagram. I had abandoned it quite severely at this point, and so I wanted to come back. And then a crystal, probably copied that somewhere from Instagram, I don't know. Then, oh god, I used to obsessively do the whole like circle and then a line thing, and I think it's good for beginner artists, but I've reached a point where it's more of a problem for me than just drawing a straight person. And some even creepier clowns. Okay, at this point is when I tried to actually be experimental. So I used duct tape and then I cut it, and I don't remember what the reference photo was, but she very much reminds me of Poot Lovato, so wasn't all successful. Then I thought I was into fashion design for a brief moment, and so I was like, yeah, let's draw this pretty girl. Yeah, no thank you. Okay, this one I'm actually happy with. I don't remember what the reference photo was, but I'm pretty sure it's of somewhere in Australia, and I just decided to go all out on the detail of this scenic shot. Then this is a really ugly outfit, but it's based on someone I actually saw walking around my school once. I think she later became a teacher at the school. I'm not sure if it was her or not, but yeah, her broken feet are not a good starting point, but I think interesting nonetheless. Here I was trying to be more dynamic with this tired girl pose, and it's not too bad, although oh, that's the teddy bear. I thought that was her foot. If that was her foot, I would have been a little concerned, but I was still very inconsistent with faces. I still am, but not so bad. I'm getting there. Then, I don't know what this is. I think it's meant to be some like weird buff dude holding a baby cat-like creature and then a pig. Yeah, I don't remember what the context of this was. Here I was trying to be experimental with my colours. I was still using Copics a lot at this point, but I think this is when I very slowly started to drift away from them. I used them for full illustrations, but not so much in sketchbooks because of the bleed through. And this is something I'd still very much like to explore. It's based on a story idea I have of this civilization that lives in a tower that's reminiscent of the biblical Tower of Babel. And I wanted to call it The Sprawl, and then it turns out that there's already some dystopian fiction writer who has a civilization called The Sprawl. But this is very much inspired by a lot of Asian countries and their overcrowded cities. I think there was a big time jump somewhere in this book, because this is considerably better than the older pages, and these are random figures off of the news. Then I think it was Halloween, not sure. I didn't date my sketchbook very often back then, but I tried to do some zombie creatures with big feet. What the heck is happening here? I disliked this at the time because it was wonky, especially the Nivea and the pencil, but the tape dispenser isn't too bad. And then this is a drawing of my favourite backpack ever, but then I messed up with the proportions, so I gave up. Here are more sketches of Tom Blue Jay. I think these were actually some of the first ever sketches I had done. Yeah, I mean, his proportions are all over the place, but the puffy jacket idea was already coming alive. Now, I actually like these guys, even to this day. Again, I think there was a time jump somewhere, but this is when I was overutilizing the white gel pen. Oh god, this is a mess. This was meant to be me turning a realistic corgi into a cartoon, into a humanoid figure, but that I would be terrified if I saw that in a dark alley at night. Some train sketches from my first German exchange that I took 2 years before the more recent one. And apparently I thought that looked like Beethoven. I don't think it does, but hey ho. Then I was with my German exchange and we had this confusion about the meaning of fish fingers. So I was like, yeah, so you know, fish, they have fingers, we just aren't very aware of that. Well. More train sketches from the German exchange, and then more Tom Blue Jay sketches, and you can see these are considerably better than the ones a few pages back. There's more dynamic poses and I'm trying to add a bit more emotion, I think. Definitely me. And then this impossible pose is some bubblegum girl. I don't know, I think the idea is there, but the execution, not so much. And then this god-awful creature, I have no idea what that is. And then this sketch somehow looks like similar to what I draw now, but just not that good. Staying with the same sketchbook, now we're going to go into the back, and this was my first ever Inktober. I almost finished it, but I never got to the last day. So day one was, well, Inktober. I don't think I followed any prompts for this. I just went with whatever my imagination was imagining. And actually I'm still quite impressed with it today, even though I was 14 when I did it. So yeah, a skull, some weird emo, geeky face girl. I really like this concept, although it's quite common, of an island that's actually a living creature, and a steampunk hot air balloon. Some big boobed woman. Oh my god. So this day I couldn't think of anything to draw, and it was getting late at night, and my mum gave me some grapes from the garden. Now these grapes are super small because it's England and the weather hadn't been that great that year, and so I decided to eat them, all the grapes at once, and just pull the twigs out of my mouth. All was okay at the start, and then I suddenly felt a pinch and a really horrible taste. So I spat, and yeah, there was a living earwig that I bit, and it chose to bite me back. And I spat its head out first, and then its body, which was still wiggling. And then as I threw the bunch on the floor, like little tiny babies came out. And yeah, I didn't eat grapes for like a month after that. Some weird robot thing, and then some I'm 14 and this is deep crap about time flying. Okay, now this is cute. I definitely copied this from some post somewhere, but yeah, I'm happy with this. This I remember drawing on a coach, so we were moving around quite a lot, but I managed to survive, hey ho. Then some more emo looking something or other. Then I drew this leaf again for some reason. I guess I really liked that leaf. Then I tried to be realistic with ice cream and then added some god knows what. I think this was partly inspired by Thoroughly Coloured on Instagram. She's actually a really good friend of mine, and I didn't actually know her at the time. I just knew her Instagram, and I really liked her most famous illustration that she has of these two women, and then like one's half full, one's half empty. Some tentacle creature, and then if you can see here, teeny tiny boat. I don't know what was going through my brain at the time, but we've got a very dainty looking spider with bows and leg warmers. I was on my way to fly somewhere, so these ones from were from on the plane. I did 3 drawings in one day because I'd missed a bunch from traveling. And then B. And then I don't know why I felt like drawing the Mona Lisa, but she's coming out to have a time. Realistic glasses. This was definitely the weakest one out of the bunch. I have no idea what's happening here. Some weird girly crap. And then more emo. Like, I love the contrast. We went from lovely, bubbly dream galaxy girl to psycho murder with exposed spine and ribs and bloody knife and then a kitten. And then I guess I tried to combine a lizard with a lion. Lovely. Then we got a basic cockroach or beetle or something, I don't know, you know, with its Uggs, yoga, Starbucks, evil tree stump. I think this is inspired by Adventure Time to some extent, with like a nuclear bomb thing, and then the lich-esque creature. And then, gosh, why was I being so emo at this point in my life? Some doll thing, and then a lollipop, and yeah, I never did the last day. Oops. Now we're getting into significantly older territory. This sketchbook was already filled with some random things from my mother and my sister when she was really little. So the first drawings, for example, this gorgeous aeroplane, are not me, or not in the same time frame as the rest of this. I think this might have been my sister, because I don't recall this at all. Then this was also my sister, with a made-up family and some spicy high heels. More beautiful airplanes and scribbles. And then my mother trying to do some layout design. Beautiful Christmas tree. Okay, now we've gotten to me. I think I was between 13 and 14 with this artwork. So we have some weird looking something or others. Then an attempt at a hand. A piece of topiary. An abandoned foot that I guess is attached to a flip-flop. And then, oh god, Dasha is an idiot. She's so dumb but thinks she's amazing. Yeah, right. Clearly I was going through some fight with my sister. Then I guess I tried to do a Native American headdress and then gave up and used this as an experimental page. This is definitely at the height of my Copic use, as you will see shortly. Then I was trying to learn anatomy here. I was so into using all these circles and blocks and things, which, again, they're good for beginners, but they don't really do much beyond a certain point. Then I don't know why I was drawing the eyes so far apart. Like, this was a conscious decision. I think I was trying to find a style, and I definitely don't like this style. Now this was going back to my obsession with Adventure Time. I did draw the characters in the background, but I never got around to colouring them. Then some freakishly skinny girl. Don't know what that was. Don't know what that is either. Oh god. This is horrifying. I have no idea what this is. Oh Jesus. Okay, let's move on. Then I drew butterflies for some reason. Never really had a big thing for butterflies, but I thought that this is what the Instagram fans would like. Not sure what was happening here either. Now, I can't remember what game this is. Oh, I have no recollection of what game this was, but I decided to do this big character page for this villain monster thing that I absolutely loved. This is meant to be a drawing of a teddy fighting off some big monster whilst the kid in the bed is sleeping, but I never got around to that. And my sister, she made some OC of a Zelda character, and I said, yeah, sure, I will do a finished illustration of it for you. And I do think I had a good understanding of lighting and colour actually from an early age, but not so much anatomy and things. Then Steven Universe, I had to watch that at some point, didn't I? Unfinished strawberry. Now, This is one of my favourite podcasts ever. Welcome to Night Vale. If you haven't heard of it, I thoroughly recommend you listen to it. It's very much my taste in terms of a good level of weirdness and mystery and story development. And this is also to do with Welcome to Night Vale. All hail the mighty Glow Cloud. And then Old Woman Josie, also from Welcome to Night Vale. Don't know what happened here. She looks like she's made of wood. And I think this was like my first ever commission. It was some random girl who had followed me like 2 minutes before she DM'd me. And I was like, hey, can you draw this for me? And I didn't ask for any money, so to be honest, it's not really worth any money anyway. These little creatures, I actually plan to use a more developed version of them for the TV show I'd like to make someday. And then I guess we got an elephant and a bull for some reason. I have only ever watched one anime show in my life, and that was Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I enjoyed it very much, although overall anime is not my thing. But I cannot remember what her name is, though I drew her. I thought she was pretty epic. Flip this around. Then tried to do some funky girls. And I continued the here. I tried to do like turnarounds and then outfit things because I was already very interested in animation and character design. So I've had that for a long time. And this is for a colouring contest from D Draws. I don't know if that's still her name on Instagram. She's got a good number of followers. I don't know if I follow her still though. And then this was meant to be some humanoid mashup of various Steven Universe characters. She definitely has an opal vibe. Then this is the Adventure Time version of myself. Rose quartz. And then this was, for a very long time, my absolute most popular piece on Instagram. I think it got 500 likes, and at the time I was getting maybe 100 likes at most. So I think I cried when I was noticing how popular it was. It made me so happy. An unfinished eye. And then I think at that point it just becomes weird old doodles again. Look at this spicy stuff. Yeah, none of this is me. This is all my little sister. But this is from years before I drew in this book. This sketchbook was given to me for Christmas of 2014. It's the largest sketchbook I've ever done, and I learnt very quickly that I like to work in smaller books. So I was 13 when I was drawing these, and I went through this brief phase of thinking that everyone has to draw anime. And like I said, I've never really been a big fan of anime or the art style or anything, but I tried to do this weird cutesy candy girl things. I must have watched Wreck-It Ralph or something. Then 2015, new year, can't be bothered to rotate that. And then this monstrosity that I never finished. I think I disliked her at the time because I was still getting used to Copics and they were bleeding through an awful lot, and I didn't know what to do about that. She kind of makes me think of Jesus for some reason. Hipster Pikachu, I did this for a friend at school. Some random woman. I was obsessively using rice paper blenders for pencil. I think that's quite fun. Then, oh, why is this upside down? Then here is my dad's first car. He was 16 when he got it, and it's the coolest car on the planet. It's a 1953 MG, and so I drew this for his birthday. But it looks way more bubbly than it actually is, and I redrew this in my Calarts sketchbook, as seen here. I don't remember what I cut out there. This is a little chart of all the characters from a play I did at school, and then I put the names of all the actors. The accordion shop, that was really good fun. I don't know what this is. She looks like some 80s something or other. This was also around the time where I started obsessively watching Let's Plays as background noise for my drawing, and I don't remember what game this is from, but I think he's called Delson. I was very interested in that name for a long time afterwards, but I remember being insanely proud of this drawing at the time. You know, it's not too bad for being 13. Then years ago I drew a lion, and it wasn't bad. I was very happy with it at the time, but then I tried to redo it and then promptly gave up. Some other cake girl thing. And then I was being experimental. I did a bunch of chalk pastel and then transferred it over to here. And this is a present for my mum for her birthday. So she designed our garden, and you can't tell what it is, but it's an aerial shot, and I tried to like turn each element into a bunch of creatures. Yeah, this was still when I was going through that strange anime phase. I wouldn't even call it a phase, it was so forced because I thought that I had to go through that phase in order to progress to my next step of artistry. Although I have to say the colours aren't too bad. Then I think these were designs for this recycling bin that we were designing in my graphics class, and then I guess this is me trying to develop a signature, which I still don't have. And then Dark Anya's come out again with some crow wrapped in barbed wire with a gas mask and then bleeding. Damn, yeah, I have no idea what was going on. Oh, and it's on fire! Okay, I don't know what was happening in my mind at the time. And then that's it for this sketchbook. And last but not least, we have this sketchbook. This was from the time when I first got all my Copics, and I was trying them out, and there seems to be a running theme of me drawing something that accidentally becomes Jesus. I don't know why or how, but it happened. And then I was drawing eyes and stuff. I was still 13, I think, for this. And a mug that I still use regularly. I don't know what that is. Yeah, 13. Still using my rice paper blender. Some futuristic woman who looks like she's just wearing safety goggles from a science lab at school, but hey. Peridot. And I tried to do some character designs, but it's just painful to look at, frankly, with these creepy eyes and big teeth. Yeah, no thanks. Then just test pages. And then I guess these are weird, like, rabbitoid creatures. I think these are actually more recent than the rest of the sketchbook, because this is quite a nice dynamic looking pose. Yeah, this might only be from last year actually. Then just a bunch of testing thingies and notes, and that is it for this sketchbook. God, that's so much paper I haven't used. That's so bad. Right, well that brings us to the end of my old sketchbooks tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed looking at some of my crusty old drawings, and most importantly, I hope that it encourages you to keep pushing through with your art, because if I manage to improve like this in 5 years, then I'm sure you can improve just as much, and even more. In fact, I was improving a lot even within a few months in these books, so no goal is beyond your reach. Just keep working hard and dreams do come true, I can promise. I guess all I have left to say is subscribe, hit the notification bell down below, and why don't you follow my Instagram? We have anya.arts and Meppity. Anya Arts is more for polished drawings and Meppity is for looser sketches. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. See you around.